everyone. I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing, and commenting. I appreciate the support. And in this one, I wanted to speak to you about mindful eating. It's something that I've been struggling with for a long time. When I first started yoga and I started doing my yoga teacher training, so I've done my yoga teacher training and I did it maybe 10 years ago, around 8 to 10 years ago. I don't actually remember now. I think 2008. So 12 years ago, wow. Anyway, so I did my yoga teacher training because I really wanted to learn more about yoga for myself. I never really thought that I would teach, and I did teach for a little bit after because it was interesting to me, but I never really kept up with it. So I don't really teach yoga right now. But one of the main things that they brought up, they taught us a lot actually in the yoga teacher training. And a lot of those things, I wasn't ready for those lessons then. So I learned a lot, but I only kind of kept a few things that I used. And then little by little, I've been kind of going back to it and kind of realizing, oh, this is something that they told me and I never used it. Or this is something that they told me and I never paid attention to it. So one of the things that they said about eating or mindful eating in general is that most people do not do it, right? Most of us have a tendency, and I am terrible at this, that I want to read my mangas while I'm eating my food. And I've been doing this for the last entire life, basically, since I had my phone. And before I had my internet on my phone, I used to read books. So while I ate my food, I would have a book open and I'd read the book while I was eating my food. So almost my entire life, maybe not when I was a child, but almost my entire teen to adult life, I have been distracted while eating food. Now that's actually a little bit of a crazy thing to say out loud. And when I realized it, I actually had to take a step back and really pay attention to this, because that's a lot of distracted eating. And no wonder I felt so disconnected to food for so long, and I wasn't able to really eat food in a manner that sustained me. I'd always feel hungry. I've told you guys this before, no matter if I just finished a meal, I would still be hungry. And no matter if I just had a huge meal, a few seconds later, maybe a few minutes later, I'd be hungry again, thinking about my next meal. Constantly thinking about food, constantly talking about food, constantly dreaming about my next meal. Obsessed basically with food. Whereas when I actually came down to sitting down and eating it, I'd be thinking about food all day long, but when it comes down to the actual meal, I'd be distracted. And so it's kind of very ironic where, as I said, I spend hours and hours on Instagram looking at different food pictures, but when I'm actually sitting down to eat, I'm reading my manga, not even paying attention to what I'm putting in my mouth. No wonder I have this really major disconnection to food and also to satiety. Satiety means the feeling of being full. And I would never feel full, and unless I felt too full, and that was because I ate too much because I wasn't paying attention to what I was eating. So all of this has been kind of transformed in the last few days, just a few days. I've only been doing this practice for a few days now. I would say maybe a couple of weeks. And so all of this has been transformed just in a couple of weeks of mindful eating. Now, I'm not even doing it perfectly, really. I just spend I try to have at least one meal a day that's completely mindful eating. So maybe if the other two meals if I'm not really paying attention to, I'm trying to transition slowly out of distracted eating or mindless eating. But what I've been doing is that I've been really trying to, I'm not making it a very strenuous or a difficult thing. I'm just, whenever I do sit down to eat, the only thing I do not do is pick up my phone to read my mangas. It's a very simple thing, very difficult to do for me because I am so instinctually used to picking up my phone when I eat. It literally is like the plate of food is there, means I have to have a phone there with my mangas open. And mangas, if you guys don't know what it is, they're Japanese comics, and I'm obsessed with them. But so the main thing I've been doing is not picking up my phone and putting it away, not having it on the table, not having my mangas or a book open, and literally just sitting there and eating. That's the only thing I'm doing while I'm eating, is eating. Not having a conversation usually, because Usually I'm by myself, and so I'm sitting there by myself eating, and the person, if I am in a conversation with the person, then I try to be as much as possible in the food if I can. But most of my meals are solitary, which is really helpful because I'm literally just sitting there and eating. And, oh my God, guys, like literally, I don't know if you've ever done this before. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But it does bring up a lot of stuff. Not only does it bring up issues with food, shame-related stuff and things like that, but also it makes me realize how tasty the food is that I'm eating. It's delicious. And how little condiments I have to add to it. Usually I'd be adding a bunch of chili sauce and hot chilies because I'm like, oh, I need some flavor. But because I'm actually paying attention to the food, I notice that it's already very flavorful and I don't need to add anything else to it. And so I'm noticing the taste of the food, the flavor, the crunchiness, the texture of the food, the stuff, the liquid that comes out of it. I'm also noticing a lot more saliva production because I'm actually, again, paying attention to the food. I'm also, again, noticing satiety levels, which means that I notice when I've become full. Because if you start paying attention to the act of eating, not only do you start chewing more, which means you take more with each bite, more time with each bite, but then you're actually taking more time with the entire meal. So normally I would gulp down my food in a matter of seconds. Literally, I would say 5 minutes, I'd be like done and ready to go. But when I try to do mindful eating and I'm actually paying attention to each bite and, really trying to chew as much as possible, I notice that it usually takes me 15 to 20 minutes to finish a meal. And I haven't changed the quantity of the meal. In fact, I'm eating less, but it takes me longer to eat it because obviously I'm paying more attention to it, doing more with it. And in that regard, I noticed that I've become full and actually noticed the feeling of fullness because, as I said previously, I'd be too distracted to even notice if I was full or not. And because I didn't feel full or I didn't have that satiety signal come in from my stomach, even after I was finished my meal, I'd still be hungry. I'd still be like, oh, I want a snack, or I want some fruit, or I want some chocolate or something like that. But now I notice that my stomach is full. It's distended. I can actually sense the food inside my belly and sense that my stomach is full and sense that I don't need any more food, which means that I'm actually full, like actually really full, for the first time in my entire life, in a long time. And that means, of course, you eat less, but you eat it more mindfully and you're able to enjoy it more, and you need less flavoring, or you need less like salt or chilies or all that stuff to add to your food because your food is already very flavorful. And so all of these benefits, all of these random benefits that I did not realize would came up for me. And as I said, I've only been doing this for a few days and I'm actually really excited to keep it going. So as much as possible, I am trying to keep all of my meals mindful. So as I said, first I started off just doing 1 meal a day mindfully. And now automatically I don't pick up my phone to be on my mangas while I'm reading because I'm like, but I want to pay attention to my food and I want to see what's going on with it. And I actually want to feel full because I really do not like the idea that I just finished a huge meal and 2 seconds later I'm already hungry and hankering for another food item, like some snacks or some nuts or some fruit or some popcorn or something else. And I'm like, I just finished food. Why am I already hungry? There's no way my body processed that food that fast. And so basically the essence of it is that I'm not letting my body feel satiety. I'm not letting my body feel that sensation of hunger because either I'm eating too fast or I'm eating too distractedly, or I'm not paying attention to my food, or I'm not chewing my food enough. And for all of those reasons, I'm eating 5, 6, 7 times a day because I just don't feel full. And the same thing with snacking. Snacking is basically mindless eating where you have a bowl of popcorn and you're watching TV and you just finish the full bowl without even realizing that you actually had a single bite or a bag of chips or whatever your deal is with food. So I am not saying that everyone should go out and start mindful eating right away because it's a difficult thing to do. For me, it was very difficult actually. It took me a long time where I was like, all right, I'm going to do it today. And then I didn't. And then I'm going to do it today. And I didn't. Because it was so easy for me to pick up my phone and start reading my mangas. And so as I said, I'm trying very much not even to take out my phone from my purse or from my bag. I leave it in there. Because what's the point? I'm not even going to look at it anyways. And as I said, as much as possible, I'm trying to look at the food So really look at the food, engage with it, look at the sensations of it or the texture of it, feel the sensation and texture of it in my mouth, and really pay attention to the meal. Take a bite and then, pay attention to what's going on in your mouth. It's a random thing to do, I know, and you're probably like, what is going on with this girl? But it has a lot of benefits. And as I said, I've noticed that so I'm sitting right now and I had my meal 2.5, 3 hours ago, and I still feel full. My stomach still feels full, and I still feel this as a tidy signal so that I'm not feeling hungry. Normally, even an hour and a half or 2 hours after my meal, I'd be hungry already, and I'd be like, all right, what am I going to eat now? What am I going to eat now? And so I do recommend, as I said, just maybe one meal a day. The easiest meal could be the breakfast thing. And just do it as mindfully as you can without any distractions, right? The only thing you need to do is put your phone away or your book away or TV away and just eat without any distractions. And as I said, it seems very simple, but it's actually, for me, it was quite difficult. And but also once you do it, it's so beneficial that I just want to keep on going with it. If you have any questions about this, please do comment below and I shall do a follow-up video or a follow-up audio. Again, thank you so much for listening, for watching. I really appreciate the support. And I shall see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.